Everybody has those desires and fears. It's good to become aware how much they are ruling our life and learn to confront them, learn to observe them. Then they are losing their power.
I had a very interesting moment, I think it was Tuesday morning at home, when I was reflecting on desires, on how my peace gets disturbed often by strong desires, because I want this desperately, yes. Or I don't want it desperately. So there yes. is that desires. And then I came across a quote from the Bhagavad Gita where if I understand correctly, also Krishna says happiness requires that you really reduce your desires. Somehow there was something about that. And I thought, it makes a lot of sense. And then it was like everything clicked at that point in time. And I felt again that the key for me, for my happiness, is to trust God. To trust that anything I need is here now. I feel that this aspect of trust is, for me, is the fundamental one. When that is not there, then is when I go into desperation, because then I feel I need to control the situation.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to comment a bit on that. This is like the big topic, and that came connected with what you were saying.
Right. You're perfectly right. If you can have trust, then everything becomes easier. It doesn't really mean whether you have trust in God or whether you have trust in yourself, or whether you have disciples have trust in their guru, and it comes to the same, trust in yourself or trust in the guru or trust in God. But as long as we are always wondering whether it's right or wrong, whether I'm doing right or wrong, then we are always ruled by desires and fears. Fears what could happen and try to prevent it. Desires that we think we have to have things in order to feel happier, to feel complete. It's not that we have to desperately try to root out every damn little desire that is there. It's just part of life. Desires spring up and we may fulfill them, we may not fulfill them. But what is wrong is that we identify our well-being with fulfilling desire. The happiness is not coming from that. The happiness is coming from ourselves. It's always there if we don't stand in the way. And with that trust in God, you are relaxing. You are not more afraid all the time and in tension what's going to happen. Then you can say, okay, I trust that things are working out the way they should work out. And then a whole big topic that is most of the time in people's mind falls away. Because then we don't have to always worry, should I do this tomorrow, should I do that? There's nothing wrong with practically planning something, but that is no big deal. We can be in the present, trust in God, and then think practically, okay, that and that I could do, and then drop the topic. It's not something that creates restlessness. What creates restlessness is always the fear. Can I do it? Am I going to be successful? What are the others going to think about it? all these things that are so heavy after that to carry along. And if you have the trust in God, then okay, this and this and this I can do, and then you drop it, and then it will be God's will how it turns out, how well it turns out. And with desires the same, you can see the desires when it springs up. If it's immediately possible to fulfill it, you can fulfill it and observe the process, and then it's coming, going, it doesn't leave a trace. If it's a desire projected in the future, then learn to bring the attention away from the object of desire and simply see what the desire in itself does to you right now, how it creates tensions. And then you can start to relax. And if somehow you have the feeling, but somehow it's part of my story that this and this should come about, you still can give your intent in the current of life, of happenings, but then not hang on to it and think I have to have it and I need it and it must be, and be all tense and restless without it. But you can give that intent into it and then leave it up to God whether it's working out or not, and be here and now and relaxed. So you're right, trust. It's not anything moral. It's something extremely practical that we can learn to give away the burden that we are unnecessarily carrying along. Ramana Maharshi used the picture that he said to somebody, you are like a man who goes in a train with a heavy basket and you still keep it on your head the whole way, instead that you just put it down and it comes with you anyhow. So you don't have to carry all that burden all the time. The train will take it the whole way. And like that, we can take that burden of, is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? Is it right? Is it wrong? Is it, I want this, I want it. We can put all that burden down with trusting the universe, trusting God, that things are working out the way they should work out. And sometimes it's according to our liking, and sometimes it's not according to our liking. And then we can have trust, okay, it seems that the confrontation with the unpleasant situation is really what helps me to go deeper. That I'm here for that, to learn, to grow, to outgrow all this, and not to hope that I can make every moment as pleasant as possible.
Thank you so much, Varma. Very, very helpful indeed. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Okay, let's stay for a moment longer with that subject. Desires and fears. It's really these two motivating forces for the personality. On one hand, feeling incomplete, so I need things in order to be happy. On the other hand, fear of change, fear of losing something, thinking that whatever keeps me together, whatever makes me happy, even if it's not very much of happiness, still there is something. If that disappears, then that also is gone. Then what's left? Everybody has those desires and fears. It's good to become aware how much they are ruling our life, and learn to confront them, learn to observe them. Then they are losing their power. They are mainly becoming so strong and powerful because we are not even aware most of the time how strong the desires are and how strong the fears are. The mind dwells on it, turns around it, and chews it over, and we are still not really aware what's going on. Bring the attention to the present. See what is happening right now. Become aware of the thoughts. What kind of nonsense goes through the mind all the time. And learn not to take it so serious anymore, so important. our reality, the way we are experiencing it, is so solid, seems to be so real, because we think of it all the time. As we learn to think less, we learn to connect the present with that source that makes the experience possible. Then also that reality becomes more and more transparent. It doesn't seem so real anymore. It may be there as an appearance. At the same time, that feeling that I am sort of a victim in the midst of this show disappears. Then it's a playful show where I'm playing a role. Being aware something cannot touch you. The more that awareness grows, the less power these two motivating forces of the personality have, the desires and the fears. It's not that we have to control them with force. If we try to do that, most of the time it's being suppressed in the subconscious. It's still boiling there, and as soon as it has a possibility, boop, it comes up again. Accept that they are there. Be aware that they are there. And then see what they are doing to my experience right now. Start on the easiest level, physically. What is this fear doing right now? Observe how the body is having the tendency to get all tense, how certain parts are getting all cramped, how the feeling of well-being is obscured, somehow seems to go away. And by observing, you are already detaching, and from that more detached position, it's possible to start to relax. Relax your legs, relax your feet, relax your shoulders. Let the whole body relax. And if you physically relax, energetically you start to relax. If you physically and energetically relax, you are also mentally and intellectually letting much easier go of those fixations that bring about the fears. And with the desires, one can handle in different ways. One way is also to just be aware of the desire. If it's very strong, you can also mentally fulfill it. Imagine that that what you desire, you get it. That you mentally fulfill that desire. And see how the feelings in the body change when you imagine that fulfillment of the desire. That actually you can have the same feelings that you may have if that desire is also fulfilled on the material level. But by experiencing it like this consciously, it may be possible that after that it's fine, you can let it go, and that desire, that particular desire, is not more a problem. If desires are really, really strong, then most probably they have to sooner or later to manifest. And we will have to experience the fruits of them. Fulfillment of the desire, which is most of the time a lot of sweet and a lot of bitterness. Because when we fulfill desires on the material level, there comes always that whole rat tail along that we don't have planned for, that was not included in the desire, but still comes along. And when the material desire is fulfilled, then always so many other things somehow are attached to it that we don't really want to, and still have to accept, because they come with the package. even if we go for fulfilling desires, if we feel it's just better that I fulfill this desire, it's so strong, then learn to do it consciously. Instead of just somehow not even being aware what's going on all the time. In all the steps and you approach whatever is there, the object of desire, then the situation of fulfilling the desire, the immediate after feeling afterwards, if you observe what is really going on, then more and more you become aware, okay, whatever happiness I expected by fulfilling that desire, it's not really coming from the situation, but the situation lets me relax to some extent, that natural happiness that is there in everyone, which is part of the essence, that joyousness of existence has the chance to come to the surface, at least to some extent. The more we see that, the less powerful the desires. Still, as long as a body is there, some desires will spring up. But then you have the freedom to think, okay, I'm fulfilling this or no. When desire comes, you look at it, you let it go. Or maybe the desire comes, you fulfill it mentally, play around a bit with it, and you let it go. Playfully, joyously. Not being ruled neither by desire nor fear. Then we are free. Then we can play. Enjoy the show and still go through the motions of living our human life, being aware it's not as real as it appears. It's a possibility to gain experience, to get richer and richer, essentially remaining the same and yet at the same time getting richer and richer.